Hello, everyone. My name is Priya Bhutani. Thank you for joining us today. The goal for today's discussion is to give you an overview of a few new regulations in South Korea that'll go into effect later this year. These regulations will impact medical device and in vitro diagnostic companies globally. For those of you who may not be familiar with RegDesk, we are the developer of a unique machine learning platform that makes global compliance easier and faster. We do this by providing medtech companies instant access to global regulatory requirements, real-time alerts on regulatory changes, and also multi-expert opinions on all your regulatory questions. In addition, we have several other tools that can increase your team's efficiency in preparing and tracking global applications. If you'd like to learn more or see how our platform may be helpful to your regulatory team, please contact us and we can schedule a brief call. Moving on, with us today, we have a leading expert from South Korea, Yoojin Ahn. Ms. Yoojin Ahn has extensive regulatory experience in the device industry. She started her career as a regulatory specialist for a Korean medical device company. After working in regulatory affairs for several domestic and foreign companies, she now works as a lead regulatory consultant for a well-established consulting firm in Korea. Yoojin also has expertise in ASEAN regulations and working with CFDA in China, though they're not called CFD anymore. Through the span of her career, she has held roles not only in regulatory affairs, but also quality assurance and device sales. Before we begin, though, our discussion this morning, I'd like to turn our attention to our attendees. Thank you again for joining us. At the end of this meeting, we'll be holding a brief Q&A. We encourage your participation, so please refer to the chat button on your screen. In the interest of time, since it's only a 30-minute long webinar, please submit your questions throughout the course of our talk, and we'll try to address as many of your questions as we can. If we're unable to address it, we can also always follow up with you via email. Also, we would love to get your feedback on not only today's webinar, but also your ideas on our future webinar topics. Let's get started. In today's conversation with Yoojin, we'll get an overview of the upcoming device regulations in South Korea. Yoojin, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Okay, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. All right. So I know you and I have had conversations in the past, and it's a very good discussion we're about to have. So I'm excited about sharing these new changes that'll impact device companies. Can you talk about, one, what type of changes, and then second, when do these changes go into effect?
Okay, so in 2019, there is 3 changes in South Korea. First one is that every manufacturer must put barcodes on their product label in 2019 July. And second one is that manufacturer who manufacture complicated medical device such as X-ray or MRI can provide their user manual in their website. And third one is that product classification will be evaluated, so some product class could be changed.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, and for the sake of just summarizing some of what you just said, the 3 main changes that'll impact is one is related, actually two changes are related to labeling of the product. One's related to reevaluation of products. Do you know how many products will be reevaluated?
2,515 products will be evaluated in 2019.
Understood. Okay, that's a lot of products. And do we have any information on the evaluation? So what Kfda means by evaluation is they'll take a look at these 2,500 some products, and they'll reclassify them, so they can either be up classified or down classified. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So they ask adverse events referred to every manufacturer to evaluate those products classification.
Okay, got it. And so then regarding the two changes for labeling, we're talking about one, that the manufacturers must have a record number, which is similar to unique device identification. And then the second is this idea that KFD is introducing is electronic IFUs, which is good news for many clients who may have very large capital size equipment type devices and or complicated devices. And then how will KFDA identify or determine rather which products should be, would qualify for electronic IFU or they may not?
Okay, so once you submit technical documents and IFU to Kfda, then you can ask to Kfda whether they can provide their user manual as e-copy or not. If they have said they can provide as e-copy, then manufacturer can provide their user manual in their website. So it is not for every medical device. For simple medical device, KFDA do not allow to provide as e-copy.
Okay, so if for your regular routine devices, the KFD is most likely going to still expect that you have a package insert and have copies of your sorry, not electronic, but instructions for use accompanied with the product. And then can we go back to the first change that you mentioned, this whole record number? I know in our conversation, in our dialogue, you mentioned that KFDA is reevaluating some of the requirements for labeling, and they realize that many companies have issues with in providing the information that KFDA has in the past required because they may not have the right amount of space on the outer label. So from my notes, you had mentioned that manufacturers must include regardless of the size of the outer label, manufacturers must have product name, manufacturer information, model number, serial number, license number. This license number is issued by KFDA, and then this record number. Can you talk a little bit more about this record number? What's the process of obtaining this record number?
Okay, so to get record number, your product must get license from Kfda first. After getting license number from Kfda, then you can register in Kfda to get back the record number. Then you have to put company information and product information such as product class and product name and model and any other information about the product. Then you can get the record number. Then after getting record number, you have to put the record number on product level.
Got it. And so without the record number, clients can expect delays because their products will most likely be held at the customs.
Yes.
Correct. Okay, got it. And then this record number, so this process, it's electronic, is that right? So your local agent would go into some electronic system. Is that how this process will work?
Yes, that's right. Every process have to do in electronic in online.
Okay, got it. And what about the application itself to get the license number? Is that also electronic, or is that a physical copy that a client?
It is electronic as well. So once you submit technical documents and after finishing the review, and KFDA issued a certificate with license number.
Okay, understood. Got it. And this change, you said these changes are going into effect in July 2019.
Yes, right.
Got it. And so I know, well, the classification system in Korea is class 1, 2, 3, and 4. Will all the classifications have to comply with these new changes, or is KFDA going to do it classification by classification? How is KFDA accommodating manufacturers with varied classifications?
Okay, so, KFD have their own classification rule. So it is different with European classification and the US FDA classification as well. So some products doesn't seem like class 1 and some products doesn't seem like class 3 or 4. So KFD decide that if there is any higher classification products need to going down, and if some products evaluated as a low classification, then they want to increase class as 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why they need adverse events report to every manufacturer.
Got it. Okay, so one with the reclassification, they're going to evaluate, because some classes you were mentioning, like dental drills or dental brushes, are considered class 1, but KFDA may up-classify them because they are much higher risk for even a class 1 device, so they may be considered class 2 then. Okay, and then what about the changes for the record number? So any device classification, all manufacturers, whether they have class 1 or class 2, 3, or 4, do they all have to have record numbers by 2019?
No, it is not. In 2019, only class 4 required to put record number. However, next year's KFD will require for class 3 and 2022 for class 2 and 2021 for class 3 at class 2 and 2022 is for class 1.
Got it.
So every year need update.
Understood. Okay. But so going into effect July 2019, if clients have high-risk devices class 4, they must have this whole record number on their label by 2019. So that's a big change. But then for some companies, it may be a good change in case they qualify for electronic IFU. That would be good. But for class 3 devices, it's by year 2020. Class 2, it's 2021, and class 1, it's 2022. Okay, so that makes sense. What about, in the beginning of this discussion, I mentioned that these changes will impact both device companies as well as in vitro diagnostic companies. Can you talk a little bit about this? Do IVDs have separate rules? Do these changes also impact companies who are IVD manufacturers?
Okay, IVD have their own different rule with other medical device. However, KFD doesn't separate with medical device and IVD. So IVD also need to follow those 3 changes.
Okay, so KFDA, so medical device regulations the IVD regulations follow medical device regulations. So even if you have, and do they have the same classification system as well?
Yes, right.
Okay, got it. So that's good to know. And then now talking about this, how long would it take to get a record number? Because UDI is a process, and it's not as simple as the computer system just generates a UDI number, and next thing you know, it's on your label. How long, or what is KFD anticipating the timeline or the time it'll take to generate? So if I'm a local agent and I go in and submit a bunch of information, is it almost an immediate process that the output will be a record number for my device?
It is immediate in process. So if you have a serial number and foreign manufacturer have their qualified Korean license holder, then they can get record number within 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. So that's good. That's good. Got it. Okay. And that's a number, again, importation. During importation, that number will be looked upon. So now, will the label then include UDI and the record number? So it should have both?
No, it's just only record number.
Just the record number. Okay, so for clients for all these clients who have now UDI, they don't have to include UDI on their label for Korea.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, because, right, so Korea is not gonna, they don't care about UDI number. They want their own unique device identification number, which they're calling record number.
Yes, right.
Okay. Got it, understood. And can we talk now that we have talked about the changes, can we just quickly discuss for class 1 devices? And Korea has this reputation of requiring local testing. And since we have the viewers here, we thought let's touch upon some other topics that we hear about local testing. Do all device classifications require local testing?
All class do not require local testing. For class 1, normally do not require any tests, except very special control class 1. For class 2 and 3 and 4, needs test results. However, it doesn't mean that foreign manufacturer have to get test results in Korea. They can use their own test results in their country if the test is conducted under qualified laboratory.
Okay, so class 1s do not require local testing, but then if for class 2, 3, and 4, you're most likely, there's a possibility you could be required to send your samples for local testing, but Kfda on a case-by-case will evaluate as long as you've done your testing from qualified labs, then GLP labs, then it should be sufficient. Okay, and what about actually the classification system? Does Kfda have its own classification rules?
Yes, Kfda have their own classification rule.
Okay, so you can't say class 2 device in Korea is the same as class 2A it's not a necessary overlap from European classification rules.
Yeah, it is different because in Korea, class 1 products could be 2A in Europe, and class 3 products, SMS, is class 1 in USA. So we have very different classifications.
Okay. Now that we've touched on local testing, can we talk about clinical data? Because that's always a big question for clients with higher risk devices. Does Kfda accept clinical data from foreign countries, or do they require that clinical investigation must be done with the local population?
Kfda also accepts clinical data from foreign manufacturer, because if the clinical data was collected under professional man and conducted under qualified institutes, and then Kfda still accepts it, except if the clinical data is influenced by climate or environment, any other factors.
Okay, so again, it's not a set stone answer. It sounds like it'll be based on product by product, situation by situation, where Kfda may accept the data, but then if they realize that the population is not right for the product or may affect the population in Korea differently, then they may require investigation. In your experience, what have you seen? Have you seen more studies being accepted or rejected?
Okay, for example, for polydioxanol searchers, clinical data could be accepted in Korea. However, for this case is for IVDs, for malaria test kits, do not allow it in Korea because malaria is not popular in Korea, so they don't allow it from other countries clinical data. So it is different case by case, and they don't access sometimes because of different environment.
Okay. interesting. Do you have any tips for foreign manufacturers? So before that even, let's go back to these regulatory changes. Do you have any suggestions on how companies should, prepare for these upcoming changes? What can they do to start preparing for these changes in July of 2019?
Okay, actually getting record numbers is quite easy process. And for second one, provide as e-copy, it is good news for manufacturer. Manufacturer just take care about the re-evaluation of a product. However, it will be posted in MFDS website, then you can see how they are changed. And I don't think that every product, every 2,515 products will be changed. So at beginning parts for if foreign manufacturer want to distribute their products, must contact with qualified Korean license holder first. Then after get agreement with them, then apply for KGMP certificate. This is the most difficult part for foreign manufacturer because every foreign manufacturer must get KGMP if they want to get license number for the product. And normally it takes around 6 to 10 months, including waiting time. After applying KGMP certificate, and then you can prepare technical documents. And every technical document must be prepared as Korean and have to submit by Korean. So during waiting time for KGMP, then you can do this process. After getting KGMP, then you can ask to finish the review to technical documents. Then you can get serial number. Then you can get barcode number. Then you can start to distribute products in Korea.
Okay, so the biggest hurdle you're saying that you've seen foreign manufacturers deal with is getting a certification for KGMP audit. So you're suggesting that if you're a foreign manufacturer, the best thing to do is have your AR, local agent, get in queue for this audit because the audit takes a lot of time. And is there a high cost associated with KGMP as well? Is it a pretty large fee that manufacturers have to pay?
Yes, manufacturer must pay for site audit fee. And there are 4 institutes in Korea. And for class 2, we need to audit it by only third party. And third party site audit is not too expensive because only one auditor join for site audit. However, for class 3 and 4, and one from the third party and one from Kfda, so it means that the cost will be double because manufacturer must pay for their accommodation and flights and working audit fee and getting certification fee. So I cannot say that the price is cheap.
Okay, and do these companies, so if I'm a manufacturer, I get GMP certification, how frequently can I expect audits? Are these yearly audits thereafter once I get the approval, or?
Every 3 year, manufacturer must renew the KGMP certificate.
Okay, so every 3 years. Are there any new changes to KGMP that manufacturers can expect this year, or KFD is not worried about KGMP yet?
Oh, actually, KGMP is really similar with ISO 13485. So if manufacturer already have ISO 13485 2012 version or 2016 version, then manufacturer don't need to worry about this much. But still now in Korea, manufacturer follow 2012 version, and this year's Kfda decided to change into 2005 follow the 2016 version. So if manufacturer have already 2016 already follow up 2016 version, then it's quite easy to get KGMP certificate.
Okay, so as long as they have understood, so if they have already followed up or are compliant with the 2016 ISO 13485, it's pretty similar to that because KGMP is following the 2016 version rather than the previous version.
Yes.
Okay, got it. And so the audits can be expected every 3 years. And then can you get clearance? So if I understand correctly, manufacturer cannot get clearance on their device and start to sell or market it unless and until they have the KGMP.
Yes, right.
Okay, so you need that clearance and audit completed before you can even get clearance on your product approval.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so that's why you're saying that it's the biggest hurdle, because you could have the approval, well, not approval, but technical documentation could be fine, but then you're stuck with the KGMP audit.
Yes, most foreign manufacturers have this problem. Their technical documents is okay to get license number. However, they cannot pass KGMP audit. It is the biggest problem for them.
Okay, is it also because KGMP is a bit more complex than ISO 13485?
It is not more complex. However, KGMP have specific requirements, but normally it is not complex and quite simple. But lots of foreign manufacturer can understand because we need some special requirements. So normally, if they have a proper Korean license holder, they have for this one. But if they cannot cooperate with them, well, then they cannot pass. They cannot pass the site audit.
Okay, understood. So maybe one of the topics, if our viewers prefer, could be on KGMP certification, and talk about some of those special documentation that's required.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, we're out of time. Want to thank our viewers again. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Yoojin, for all this information and for keeping us up to date on what to expect. These labeling changes can be a big impact on company, and especially with the new record number that will have to go on the label. That's a big change for companies who are planning on entering Korea or are currently selling and marketing their product in Korea. We appreciate your time, and if we ran out of time for any questions, but if anyone has any questions or you think of any, please feel free to email us, and we're happy to get back to you and follow up with you with an answer. Again, thank you everyone, and we look forward to everyone's feedback on today's webinar and also future topics that may be of value to you. Thanks everyone again. Thank you, Yoojin, for your time, and thanks everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay, thank you so much for everyone.
Thanks.